Well, hello. This is a friend Sanoku telling you like it is, giving you the real talk, what you need to hear and not what you want to hear. You know the drill. But I'm on to lay some foundation of things I cannot talk about if it really not for like 2 hours on end. But we'll break it up into pieces. And the first thing I'm going to establish is the foundation. And of course, this is about U.S.-Mexico relations in this day. This is very timely because today, Claudia Sheinbaum, this is March 9th, 2025, by the way. And today there is a massive rally, like all the rallies, in Mexico's Central Square, the Zócalo, Mexico City's Central Square, basically around which many of the large government buildings are located. So there's going to be upwards of 200,000 people today, gathering today. The footage is already out in part. And what they were doing is Claudia Sheinbaum said after the announcement of Trump's tariffs and retraction of tariffs, eventual retractions of tariffs, Claudia Sheinbaum that she will detail the plans for responses to these tariffs. Mind you, Mexico is the number one two-way trading partner for the United States. Number one. The others are Canada and China. How ironic, those are the ones that Trump is blaming for fleecing the United States. It doesn't quite work that way. I'm going to explain the mechanics of why it's not working that way and why that is actually a self-imposed problem within the United States. But I have to make one thing clear. Mexico is not the cause of the most onerous problems within the United States suffered by the people of the United States. The United States government's policies, as they are enacted for the benefit of the 1% and less, is what is going on. Okay. Obviously, the United States has specifically blamed Claudia Sheinbaum's government in Mexico for being in control or cooperating with the cartels. No, that's not true. That's not true. The events of the last 7 years or so between Claudia Sheinbaum's and her predecessors' administrations of the same party bear that out. You have multiple large arrests, multiple military operations now that the predecessor's government has, in fact, gotten approval to use the military against domestic agitators, basically, criminals, to ensure public safety domestically. So, make a long story short, all these arrests, all these confiscations of drugs and of weapons that are U.S. origin, okay, all these arrests of now U.S. citizens prove that, within Mexican borders, prove that Mexico is not the cause. In fact, both AMLO and Claudia have said that we don't want Americans to die from drug overdoses. Mexico's policy, having only suffered 500 drug overdose deaths in a recent year, bears that out, right? Because obviously they're doing something that the U.S. is not doing. If you have a problem that is caused by something you did, you undo the thing that you did in order to make the problem go away. But that's not what's happening. That's not what's happening, right? Yeah, that's the rational response. But what's actually going on, of course, is the liberation of drugs, the liberation of opioids to be prescribed for multi-dose applications for moderate pain, not for single-dose applications like childbirth or agonic pain that basically when you're on your last days to keep you comfortable while you're dying of cancer, that's what the opioids are good for, so you don't get addicted, right? Or if you do get it, if it doesn't matter, you're in a hospice. So anyhow, but we're not reversing that. We're not reversing you getting prescribed opioids for breaking your foot and getting over the recovery pains. Recovery pain. So you end up taking opioids for a month or longer. It doesn't take quite that long. You're addicted. So you seek fentanyl when your scripts run out. But they're not reversing that because it's just way too much money, right? They blame the immigrants for drugs. Immigrants don't carry drugs in the United States. If I were a drug pusher, I would not use immigrants who are basically throwing themselves at the government when they come here, because those are the ones who are most vulnerable to inspection, to personalized inspections. You come from a place like Venezuela because you have a court date, a guaranteed court date. All right, you come and you get over here and they're going to look you and they're going to frisk you up and down. Wouldn't use Venezuelans to move drugs into here. Wouldn't use Nicaraguans. Wouldn't use Haitians. Wouldn't use Cubans, right? Mexicans are not coming over the border in the numbers they used to. In fact, the net number is towards Mexico. Now, how did we get this immigration problem recently? Well, because, okay, first of all, since way before, let's just snapshot into Biden's administration. The U.S. has been heavily involved in upsetting the social order in Venezuela, in Cuba, in Nicaragua, in Haiti, right? And so Biden gives them a way to, over a mobile app, set a court date and come to the United States to escape the message, the mayhem that we're causing for the benefit of American elites. Let's just keep, for the example of Venezuela, it's the oil. It's the oil. They have more oil than Saudi Arabia, and we don't want Venezuela's state-owned government to export it. We want to export it. We want to use it. We want to use it in our refineries, if anyone. And we certainly don't want all that oil going in the open market so as to lower the price. That's what's going on. That's what's going on, basically. And if you don't believe that's what's going on, I don't know. That's why we're trying to remove the current administration in Venezuela. All right. So anyway, so the people come over in big numbers because they have a way to get in, and all of a sudden, well, okay, so it's shut. It's shut. But this was our government's doing. The fact that it is, okay, so we give, it's probably a really foul move to cancel this program while people are on the way in, before, but anyway, hey, it's our country, our borders, right? All right. So anyway, that's not on Mexico. That's not on Mexico. Our drug addictions are not on Mexico. Our immigration problem is not Mexico's fault either. Okay. Security is not our fault. The guns are not our fault. They have a problem with us. All right. Mexico is not our enemy. Mexico is not trying to cause mayhem for American citizens. But if they could, you'd better believe the U.S. is trying to cause mayhem in Mexico. At least the deep state. You have Elon Musk in power right now. Why is Elon Musk the only big oligarch sitting at the border trying to bring attention to an immigration crisis or border security crisis? Because he's in favor of the United States intervening in Mexico. He's in favor of the U.S. intervening into Mexican territory and getting the big lithium reserves, which are at least the ones we know of right across the border with Arizona into the state of Sonora. That's what's going on. Bill Gates isn't over here at the border trying to encourage us to invade. Warren Buffett isn't trying to encourage us to go invade. Right? No. Also, they say that if you're an individual member of the NRA, they say Mexico is trying to fight your freedoms to own guns. Well, it just so happens that 3/4 of the guns, literally 70-something% of the guns that Mexico confiscates are traced back to American gun manufacturers, even including some automatic weapons, which the U.S. Army should only sell to certain people. Well, what's happening there is that Ukraine is getting these weapons from the United States, and half of them are making it to the battlefield, the other half are making it out to the open market, for which the cartels gets their hands on them. That's not Mexico's fault. It's not Mexico's fault. Mexico has, because there's all this violence at the border. Violence at the border, my ass. It's not violence at the... Okay, explain to me how the safest cities in the United States, Tucson, San Diego, San Antonio, El Paso, are across the border from those dangerous cities in Mexico. Explain to me that. The cartels are not trying to expand their reach into the United States in that manner so as to expose themselves to U.S. authorities. Okay? They're not. They'll get caught. So when Claudia Sheinbaum agrees to send more people to the border, more military people to the border, what happens? Well, they do their job. Number one, they actually start to active search cars going in. They have more personnel to search cars going in from the United States. So U.S. citizens, and not only U.S. citizens with last names like Sanchez and Gonzalez, okay, are getting caught with drugs and arms. But old Bubba is getting caught. In fact, the buyers of drugs, the customer, rules and influences over the vendor. Mexican cartels have bosses in the United States that are U.S. nationals. Why? Because they know how to get the drugs. They know the customers, and they know the manner of which to get them drugs. So Mexico arrests 3 kingpins who are U.S. nationals with a drug operation in Guadalajara. Was it Guadalajara or was it Sinaloa? I don't know. One of those states in the southwest of Mexico. But it's not that Mexico is the cause of these problems in the United States. It's the other way around. And I hear these tired-ass tropes from Bill O'Reilly. Oh, Mexico's our enemy. Some of y'all just want Mexico to be an enemy, and there's nothing that y'all can give because you're convinced and you're itching for violence against Mexico and the Mexican people, whether they be there or the United States. You just don't like there being good relations and prosperity and peace. You don't like that. You want to take your gun and start shooting at Mexicans, Blackwater style. I know some of you are like that. And Bill O'Reilly speaks up for you. When Bill O'Reilly has to face St. Peter, who I'm sure he believes in, okay, he's going to have to get right with his Irish ancestors who fought alongside Mexico and who suffered many of the same discriminations and abuse in the 19th century. along with Mexicans in the United States and in Mexico. Hey, so it just seems so ironic. This is a tone-deaf response by an Irishman who doesn't seem to have a grip on his history in the United States. It's weird. It's weird. He's the Irish version of an Uncle Tom, if you ask me. But anyhow, right. What's for sure is that Mexico is what is known as a chivo expiatorio, literally an expiatory goat, a scapegoat. All right. The government doesn't want to help the common person, so they redirect the focus to someone else and tag them as the problem because it's convenient. A lot of folks can get on board with making life harder for Mexicans. A lot of folks can get on board with that, wrongfully so, because we ain't your problem. We ain't Mexican Americans, and Mexicans are not your problem. We've been here for a long time where we know how to get on with our lives. We know how to follow the law. We know how to fit in. We know how to party. We know how to welcome out. We know how to hold on to our culture, and we know how to contribute. We know how to pay taxes. We know how to live meaningful lives. And still, nothing's good enough for some people. A lot of them are wearing red hats right now, but yeah, they're not the problem. They're not the reason why your egg prices are so high. They're not the reason why your job is getting eliminated in government or thereabouts. They're not the reason why there's so many guns out in the streets. They're not the reason why there's so much crime. They're not the reason why your female friends and acquaintances and family members feel unsafe in the streets. It's easy to say that they are, but they're not. So anyway, yes, the current administration is using Mexico as an excuse to get away with doing what it wants to do in Mexico and here in the United States. This is your boy, Friend Tinoco, giving it to you straight from the southern edge of North Memphis. Hasta la vista.